She sat there, in the courtroom, eyes distant yet proud. Cameras caught the faintest trace of a smile. To some, it looked like confidence, but to others, defiance. Behind that smile was a woman who once ruled social media, an influencer adored by millions, selling a life of beauty, wealth, and control. But for nearly 3 years now, that same woman has been living behind prison walls, waiting for a trial that may decide whether she ever walks free again. Her name? Courtney Clenney, known online as Courtney Taylor. A name once associated with influencer parties, luxury condos, and bikini brand deals, now synonymous with one of Miami's most shocking domestic homicides. And at the center of this tragedy was Christian Obumseli, a 27-year-old entrepreneur whose life ended in the home he shared with her, a place that offered no escape from the cycle of love, anger, and control. When police arrived at their luxury apartment that April afternoon, the pool deck was quiet, the ocean glittered, and a man lay bleeding on the floor. Courtney said she acted in self-defense, but investigators soon discovered that this story, like the life she presented online, was carefully staged. This is the story of a couple idolized by social media, destroyed by it. A story of control, fame, obsession, and the secrets that a camera's lens never showed. Welcome to the case of Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli.
Before she was known as an inmate in a Miami jail, Courtney Clenney was an Instagram success story. With her Texas-born charm, long blonde hair, and fitness model physique, she quickly built a brand, Courtney Taylor, one that sold luxury, discipline, and desire. By her mid-20s, she was living in a high-rise apartment overlooking downtown Miami, the kind of place that influencers dream of and ordinary people only see in ads. Her social feeds were filled with beach sunsets, gym selfies, and designer outfits. But she wasn't just an influencer, she was an image in motion, the embodiment of what that world rewards: perfection, visibility, and control. Yet behind that digital success, people close to her recalled something more complex, a temper hidden behind the filters, a sharp tongue that could turn cold in seconds. Friends described her as passionate but unpredictable. She could light a room, one acquaintance said, or burn it down. Miami had made Courtney Clenney, but it was also where her public life and private self began to clash. Because somewhere in those DMs and photo captions, a love story began. That's where she met a man full of dreams, intelligent, generous, and by all accounts deeply in love with her: Christian Obumseli. Christian Tobichoku Obumseli, friends called him Toby, was 27 years old. Born in Texas to Nigerian parents, he embodied quiet ambition. He wasn't flashy, didn't chase attention. After college, he dove into cryptocurrency investing and business networking. Those who knew him described him as sharp, composed, and deeply protective of the people he cared about. When Christian met Courtney, it was easy to see what drew them together: confidence meeting charisma, beauty meeting ambition. They were young, driven, and living in a city that rewarded both. Soon, they became inseparable. She was often seen in his high-rise condo, and he began appearing on her social pages, the picture of Miami glamour. At first, their romance looked like a highlight reel: champagne dinners, poolside views, lavish vacations. But for friends who witnessed more than what the internet showed, the cracks were visible. They fought hard, one friend recalled, but they also loved hard. It wasn't long before those arguments began turning physical. In 2021, police were called to a Las Vegas hotel room after reports of a disturbance. Courtney was arrested. Christian was the one injured. At the time, she told officers it was a misunderstanding, an argument that got too loud. Nothing serious, she said. But that was the first official mark on a growing list of violent altercations. Then, early in 2022, an elevator security camera captured a chilling moment. The footage showed Courtney repeatedly striking Christian, her expression furious as he tried to repel her blows without retaliating. She didn't look frightened, she looked enraged, and he, the man she claimed to fear, seemed desperate to calm her down. By this point, their relationship had become what investigators would later call a cycle of toxicity, breakups that never lasted, reconciliations that always ended the same way. Behind closed doors, those who tried to intervene said Courtney's moods could flip suddenly, from tearful apologies to explosive anger. But no one, not their friends, not even their families, imagined how far it would one day go. April 3, 2022. The call came at 4:57 p.m. A woman screaming, a man bleeding. "My boyfriend is dying," she cried to the 911 operator. Police raced to the high-rise at One Paraíso in Miami's Edgewater neighborhood, a place known for luxury with a pool overlooking Biscayne Bay. But inside apartment 2201, they found a nightmare. Christian lay on the living room floor, clutching his chest. Courtney was standing nearby, her clothes covered in blood, her voice trembling, saying she was scared, that she had acted in self-defense. She told officers that Christian had cornered her, and in panic, she threw a kitchen knife from across the room. But paramedics noticed something strange. The wound in Christian's chest was deep, too deep. The trajectory angled downward, the kind of stab that comes from close range, not a throw. As Christian was rushed to the hospital, Courtney was taken to the police station. There, sitting in a sterile interview room, she wept and asked for her mother. When she heard that Christian didn't survive, her reaction was immediate: sobbing, disbelief, and a desperate plea for comfort. Some saw genuine shock. Others saw an actress at work.
At first, Courtney Clenney told detectives a familiar story, that she acted in fear, that she was defending herself from a man who had become violent. She claimed Christian pinned her to the wall, then to the floor, and that she only grabbed the knife to protect herself. "He started charging at me," she told officers, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean to, I just threw it." But the evidence didn't seem to agree. The medical examiner's report would later reveal that the dagger-like wound was roughly 3 inches deep, the result of a downward close-range thrust, not something thrown from across a kitchen. The trajectory told a silent story, and it wasn't one of distance, it was proximity. Despite the deadly injury, Courtney wasn't immediately charged. Weeks passed. She traveled, entered a rehab facility in Hawaii, claiming it was for trauma and substance therapy, while detectives quietly pieced together the sequence of events. Then, in August 2022, 4 months after that 911 call, police moved in. Courtney Clenney was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Her arrest sent shockwaves through social media. How could the same woman who once posted motivational quotes about love and energy now stand accused of killing the man who loved her most? But the case was about to get even stranger. As investigators examined the couple's digital footprints, a deeper pattern began to emerge. Police uncovered videos and recordings from both Christian's phone and building surveillance, a quiet, disturbing archive of their private life. And perhaps the most crucial pieces of evidence weren't taken by officers at the scene, but by Christian himself, long before that final fight. He had secretly recorded their arguments, audio clips where Courtney could be heard shouting, insulting, and at times threatening him. The tone was aggressive, not fearful. In one of them, she shouted, "You're dumb, I don't even want to be with you." In another, her voice was firm, angry, and in control. To the prosecution, those clips painted a chilling picture, one that contradicted any image of her as a victim. Meanwhile, a bizarre subplot unfolded when Courtney's parents were arrested on charges of unauthorized computer access. Investigators alleged they had logged into Christian's laptop after his death, searching for information that might support their daughter's self-defense claim. In police body cam footage from the arrest, her father appeared stunned. Officers explained that the warrants came from the state of Florida, tied directly to her daughter's homicide case. It added another layer of suspicion, raising questions about whether the Clenneys were trying to manage or even manipulate the narrative from the outside. At this point, what had started as a tragic domestic incident now looked like a story of deceit, power, and image control, a crime played out in front of the whole world.
When Courtney finally appeared in a Miami courtroom, it had been nearly 3 years since Christian's death. No verdict, no trial, only hearings and glimpses of a woman whose demeanor seemed to shift with the tide of evidence. At one session, she smiled softly, laughing with her defense team, almost as if this were a misunderstanding soon to be corrected. Her lawyers were confident, insisting that she acted in fear for her life and that the truth would exonerate her. But that image began to crumble when the prosecution pressed play on those secret recordings. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere changed instantly. The jurors and Courtney heard her own voice filled with fury. The same woman who'd been presented as terrified sounded dominant, even cruel. One chilling line echoed through the room. "You literally make me want to kill you, but you don't take me seriously." In that moment, the illusion shattered. The smiling mask dropped. Courtney Clenney, the influencer who'd built a career on performance, broke into tears. No longer the confident woman smiling beside her attorneys, but someone facing the gravity of every word she'd ever said. The judge denied her bond again. The digital world she once controlled had now become the gallery witnessing her undoing. Her trial date is now set for April 27, 2026. Until then, she remains behind bars. Her lawyers continue to push for the recordings to be suppressed, arguing they were obtained illegally and lack proper context. But for the public, the verdict, at least in perception, seems sealed. The story of Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli is more than a headline. It's a reflection of how appearances can deceive and how digital lives can hide violent realities. On social media, she sold confidence and control. Behind closed doors, their relationship spiraled into fear, anger, and heartbreak. Was Courtney truly a victim of relentless abuse who lashed out in terror? Or was she, as prosecutors claim, the aggressor in a relationship defined by power and possession? The only thing certain is this: 2 promising young lives were destroyed in that Miami condo. One ended forever, the other suspended in waiting. And as the world continues to replay the footage and the audio, the question remains: how well do we really know the people we follow online?